Hi, my name is Johnny Urban, and today I am going to present to you three important pillars to having a really great presentation that will help generate you income going forward. Now, as we get started here, the first thing I'm going to do is turn off my little video down here in the corner. I don't want to have you distracted by anything that's going on here. And then we're going to be rocking and rolling here. So I will see you at the end of the webinar personally. We'll be talking. If you have any questions, put it in the chat box and I will get to them before we're done and complete here. So, hello again, welcome. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me here. And I just want to go ahead and let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk to you is just a little story. Now, you understand stories are important to have a great speech. It's one of the things that we're going to be talking about later today. So here's a little story. Since caveman days, people have had to communicate to get their messages across. In the beginning, it was grunts and groans and body gestures. If you didn't get it right back then, it would have ended in a disaster with lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. Just imagine how quickly and effectively our language has evolved from then to now. Today's communications and connections are as varied as our imagination. And whether you like it or not, you are speaking with one person or to many all the time. You're in person, on a stage, online in social media, you have text, email, and your website of all things. Taking all that into consideration, you are a public speaker, believe it or not. And whether you are selling a product or a service, your main objective is to joyfully communicate the benefits and sell from a place of service and fun for both you and your customer. How cool is that? So if speaking about your business is going to be the center of your world, then why not do it with fun, authentic enthusiasm and learn to do it well? So my name is Johnny Urban. I know some people say it sounds like a rock star, but Johnny, I guess it's the elephant in the room right now. It is what I was born with. It was the name given to me when I was born, and Urban is my married name. So there you go. It both came together at the right time, I guess. I am inspirational, a motivator, encourager, and a creative business magician that brings sparkle and magic to your experience. Born and raised a can't-tan, sensitive California girl with pale Irish skin, red hair, and a stubborn personality. Just ask my mom. The first words I spoke were "dada," and most likely followed with, "It's time to go play." So in this webinar, I'm going to be showing you how you can make the ultimate shift from struggling to find clients, feeling stretched too thin and feeling uncertain of what you should be doing, to creating and marketing a profitable speech presentation. Does that sound good? You ready to rock and roll with this? Now I want you to stay with me until the very end. If you do that, everybody who stays to the very end is going to get an audio download, something that I created myself to help me eliminate speech filler words. Isn't that great? Now, I'm still guilty of doing that, and you may hear that a little bit on the webinar. It happens. We're human. We're just going to roll with it. And over time, when you listen to this audio download and practice, they will be reduced to almost zero. How's that? Now, again, if you can turn off all distractions, because you want to have a really clear stream. Webinars take up a lot of energy out of your bandwidth in your computer. Turn off all distractions. You don't want to see emails popping up, because I'm going to be asking you some questions as we go forward. I want to make it very, very clear that you understand what I'm teaching and that you can contribute with any questions so that you can enjoy this just as much as everybody else. So here we go. You're here because you feel you want something different for your business that is uniquely you and is designed to attract ideal clients that are a joy to work with. Is that true? You also feel you're motivated to leave behind the one-to-one marketing work and leverage your time by speaking one-to-many so that you can spend more time doing the things you love with the people you love most. Now, you also could be here because you feel you're intrigued by the idea that you can simplify your business by creating a single signature message, presenting it over and over again while saying no to the projects that no longer light you up. The last one, you also feel you're excited about creating an authentic signature message that can earn you 5, 6, or even 7 figures per year while impacting the lives of thousands. So is that true? Is that why you're here? Put it in the chat box. If you're here for any other reason, just go ahead and add it because I am just open to hearing everything you've got to say. So just to recap, you want something different. You want to leave behind the one-to-one marketing work. You're intrigued by simplifying your business, and you're excited about the earning potential, right? Whatever your motivation, I fully support you. I've got your back. We're going to take this journey together and make it happen. Now, just a little bit about me before we move on. It's I think it's important. I want to know about you. Maybe you want to know a little bit about me. But on the left is a picture of me and my husband. This was a picture that was taken about 10 years ago. You can see my hair was kind of on the long side. This was down at Laguna Beach. This was our engagement photos that we took right before we got married. And the center picture is part of my family. It's my daughter and her children, my grandchildren. And you see the woman on the very right, brand new daughter-in-law for my youngest son, who is in the armies. That's why he wasn't in the picture. And they just gave me a brand new grandson. I'm so jazzed. And then on the very, very right, you will see me with Tony and Sage Robbins. I've known them since the picture here was the first time I had met them in 2001. So all this time, close to 20 years, I have been working with Tony and Sage in that environment with their events and everything. It's a magical, beautiful learning environment. I took a lot of training with them, and I learned so much from Tony, and just watching him and being part of that back end environment of supporting the events, of watching a master storyteller. He is incredibly great at telling stories that inspire and motivate and teach. And this is part of my basis and my foundations of why I do what I do. Now, moving along, here are some students of some classes that I was teaching and speaking to. And the one in the very top in the middle was my very first live class that I was teaching at, actually, believe it or not, a coffee shop. You can teach almost anywhere, can't you? And the picture on the left is my most recent class. The one on the right, I was speaking in front of a group of other speakers talking about being an author of my book. Now, this is something that I think is really important to understand where I'm at now, is that 90% of my revenue comes from speaking live and online. I say no to the projects that drain me, and I say yes to the projects that light me up. Can you imagine what it would feel like if you only said yes to the projects that truly light you up? And becoming an owner of your unique signature presentation means that you no longer are speaking just to make a little extra money in your business, but instead you begin to see and trust your new signature presentation as a cornerstone for building your business. So I'm going to move on to pillar number 1. Here's here's the teaching part of the webinar. And you may already know this or intuitively said this makes total sense. A great speech and a great delivery, you need to have both. And there are several different types of speeches, but I'm just going to bring them down to the 3 main ones that we're going to be concerned with right now. Is that you're in front of a live audience, or you might be in front of an online audience. It could be your social media. You could be, and then plus the types of speeches that we haven't really thought that it might be important is the written speech, those scripts and and everything you need to have for marketing. Now let's talk a little bit about the live audience. It may seem obvious, but kind of stay with me here, because you can use one of these or you can use all of them depending on who your audience is going to be and what the presentation situation, the room you're in, is going to offer you. So you can use slide decks, and slide decks is another word for PowerPoint or Keynote. You can use all kinds of visuals. You could have signs that you've created with funny pictures on them, or just arrows of going here or there as you're telling a story. You can use a whiteboard, a white erase board with markers, or you could use a flip chart. I wouldn't suggest you use both at the same time, but it can be done if the room is quite large. Any props that you might want to use. Props could be a magic wand. And I'll have a story about someone that I worked with that used a magic wand down the road. I personally like using stuffed animals because they're so much fun. When I bring Winnie the Pooh to a presentation and talk about the whole process of what Winnie the Pooh has to go through to get people to like him, it's kind of cool. And it takes people back to a place of their childhood, and that makes them have fun. And when people are having fun, that's when they learn the most. Or you could just show up and be just you. I like to watch TEDx talks because sometimes TEDx people, they have some props. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have the PowerPoint. Sometimes it's just them showing up. It's just such a huge variety, and I like watching how people come together to deliver that beautiful, magical message in a short amount of time. Now let's talk a little bit about PowerPoint, and especially when you have PowerPoint with a live audience. Like what you're watching here on this webinar this is a PowerPoint. I created this on PowerPoint, and you can use PowerPoint for all kinds of different situations and everything. In this situation, in this picture, I used PowerPoint and created my whole lesson plan as I was teaching my students, and it got projected on this big screen in a Microsoft store. So here I am with a handful of students that were in the class with the PowerPoint presentation. Now the thing about using PowerPoint or Keynote or slide decks is that you've got to do it right. You cannot bore people. You have to understand that about 65% of any audience is visual. They're visual learners. They enjoy photos and pictures. I mean, that's why Instagram is so popular, right? So using PowerPoint with pictures more than you use with words is pretty much critical to your presentation. Now let's talk a little bit about props. A whiteboard, a flip chart, like I said, stuffed animals, signs, or magic wands. The key important thing here is that whatever you bring to your presentation, it must enhance your presentation and your teachings that you're doing, and not be used as a crutch or take away from your presentation. Because people have come to learn about you and to hear your story and to be taught by you. So you are the most important prop in the room. Or it could be just you. Now the whiteboard behind me, it was sitting there. It wasn't part of my presentation. So I just want to clear that up. And I just want you to know that I was just there to talk about my book and about being an author just for a few minutes with fellow speakers. Now you have an online audience. That's when you're out there on social media, you're on LinkedIn, maybe you got invited to be on a podcast, a guest on a podcast or radio or even YouTube. Or maybe you have your own podcast, radio show, or YouTube channel, which I highly advise that you do that. And you still have to have an on-brand message that is scripting and speeches and your language. Everything has to be consistent across everything. If you don't do that, if you keep switching it up and changing it, yeah, you can have fun with it, but it's got to be, the basis has to be clear and it has to be solid. And if you're there with all your listeners and make it consistent, people are going to really start trusting you more and more and more, and you will not confuse them. A confused person will not buy. They will not. So moving on for more marketing scripts, here's my social media sites and my YouTube channel. And another marketing marketing scripts and speeches that we haven't thought about maybe is being an author of a book. Everything you say is consistent with everything you write. A publication, being invited to be part of a magazine or write articles and even blogs. Your message has got to be consistent across the board. This is a speaker one sheet. And if you've never heard of what these are, in the past, you had to have one. And I even feel when I talk to organizers right now that are organizer speakers, they insist that you send one to them or have one at least posted on your website so people can go click on a tab and open it up. Basically what this is, I call it the Twitter of your presentation. This is like a resume of your speaking and what you're going to be teaching. And if you see there's some testimonials on there, how to contact you, everything is on there so that they can quickly, easily read through it in less than a minute and decide in that moment whether they're going to bring you on board for their audience or not. This is just an example of a format. There's many different other types of formats you can use out there, but the key is you have something short, sweet, and concise to make the organizer's job a lot easier. So I have a question for you. You can type this in the chat box. Yes, your answer. What type of speech is best for you right now? If you can just pop it in the chat box so everybody can see that. Awesome. So let me talk a second about Serena. Serena has a student of mine, and she was the one that had the magic wand. She is the fairy godmother of success. She has a great message where she teaches her students how to have a life of success and joy. And she had a really, really great message. So she got hold of me and she says, can you help me? Because I am just all over the place. I know that for sure. And I'm not getting any clients like I want to get. So I worked with her, and in a short amount of time, I was able to see where her problem was. What I had to do is I asked her to send me a video because we didn't live locally to each other. And I said, could you send me a video of a speech? Just go give a speech, or if you don't have one, and just send me a video so I can see not only you and your message, but I can also see how the audience is reacting to it. So she did that. And as I was looking through this and everything, I could hear her. She had an amazing message. I just want to let you know that. But what I was seeing the audience reacting to is that they weren't connecting with her message. They were getting up and moving around and talking to each other, and that is never a good thing. So basically what I noticed is that she got lost in her format. Her format wasn't consistent. There was no start, beginning, middle, and end. And then she had this distracting prop. Remember I told you earlier I would talk to you about a magic wand? Well, she had a magic wand that was awesome. It had ribbons and streams and everything and bells on it. However, she was using it too much. Every time she picked it up, it made a noise, kind of like a jangly bracelet on your wrist. And it was very distracting of her message and the people in the audience. It actually got to a point where it was annoying and people were turning away from her. And she had absolutely no connection to the audience. Even though she had a great message, she had lost the audience. And after a short time of working together, just on this one speech, she was able to have an easy to follow structure that she could remember. She wouldn't get lost off track or anything because it was just 1, 2, 3, and there it was. And it started with her speaker introduction, her teaching points, and then her offer. Very simple and yet very compelling. It immediately increased her audience participation, connection, and she was able to still be authentic without being turned into a performer. Now, that was amazing, and she is doing very well to this day. So let me ask you, what type of speech delivery system do you feel is best for you right now? What type of tool do you think you can incorporate and have fun with, or maybe not at all? Go ahead and put that in the chat box. Awesome. Yeah, some people like PowerPoint like me. We're visual. The pictures trigger our memories of what we're going to say. When I first learned PowerPoint, I was able to stop using notes. I didn't have to use them anymore because the picture speaks 1,000 million words, and it triggers exactly what I was going to talk about. It was just magical. Okay, so let's move on to pillar number 2. Something really important is that a great speech is the most effective way to leverage your time and energy. So how many people out there just get so overwhelmed with all this marketing you have to do everywhere, and you feel like you can never catch up? How many of you? Raise your hands. Yep, we all feel that way. But I want to tell you what's missing. What's missing in that marketing and leveraging your time? Well, it's your big why story. It's the story of what it is that you do and why you do it. People want to hear this story. Successful speeches must have stories. Great speeches have compelling stories that teach you about the speaker. Emotionally moving stories that give you an idea about the values of the speaker. If you understood what was most important to the speaker and you resonated with that, you'd stay with them, wouldn't you? You'd become part of their tribe and be a customer. So this is a quote from Maya Angelou, is that I have learned that people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. How many of you have ever been listening to a speaker and their message was so compelling that you remember it to this day, but you can't quite remember the name of the speaker? How many of you have been there? Me personally, I've been there too. It's just how this person made me feel by their message. And there's nothing better than that. So one thing that I want to really embed upon you and help you understand is that you have a compelling story that only you can tell. If you wrote a story and had someone else tell it, they would never be able to tell it in your tone and your inflection and your words and even your body language. The second thing is, it is why you do what you do. When that big why story comes out and you're able to formulate it and bring it together so that people really understand why you do what you do from a past story, it tells your values and what's important to you, and people will follow you because of that. Guess what? And it will never change, even if your business changes. Now, do you think you're going to be in the same business 5 years from now, 10 years from now that you are today? Most likely not. A lot of entrepreneurs shift and change as the world changes, and they move forward as they grow so that people can follow them. And your story, your big why story, will basically never change. You'll add to it, maybe you'll have new ones, but your big why value-driven story will never change. And the fourth point is, it is the one compelling reason that people will buy from you, because it is attached to who you are at your core. It is the one personal story that you could tell that embraces the essence of your deeply rooted values. Now here's my friend and student, Sue Vitale, Quintana Vitale. And the thing about Sue is she is brilliant. She is highly educated, knowledgeable, heart-centered, and caring. She is a personal trainer. She started out as a personal trainer, but then she niched into corrective exercise specialist, because she saw that as she was personally training people that they weren't doing it correctly, and that they were actually getting hurt because of that. So she took some training and she got that. So here she is trying to build her client base and get known as an expert in her field. But what was stopping her is that because she's so intelligent and brilliant and everything, and she didn't realize that her personal story was the most important story that people wanted to hear. She didn't think it was a big deal. She goes, oh, that's just something that happened to me. But once we came together and found what that story was, something that she was actually afraid to tell because it was some weakness. She felt that there was a weakness in telling the story. But actually what people need to know is see is your vulnerability. They want to see the real you. And she got to the point of sharing her story. It was heartwarming for her and her audience. And it was also liberating for her. There was just a transformation in her business and in herself going forward from that. So I want to tell you about a lesson that I learned. When I first started public speaking, it was quite by accident. Basically, I am shy and introverted, I can be extroverted, but it takes a lot of energy, and then I have to, go back and be introverted to get my energy back. But my very first speech was I was a senior in high school, and I was given a scholarship. And the teacher association and all my teachers and everything, they wanted me to give a little speech, like a thank you speech in front of everybody. And what kind of blew me away when I showed up and everything is there was a little scholarship to I could use for college, but there was also a trophy, a little, 12, 16-inch little trophy. And on that trophy, this is what really blew me, was engraved with my name. I don't have it anymore. I really don't know what happened to it, but on my name, and it had that I had gotten this scholarship and trophy for charisma. Have you ever heard of such a thing? It's like, you all know what charisma is, but to get awarded for it. And here I was thinking, what I was just being myself and who I am at my core. And I got awarded for it. It just kind of blew me away a little bit. And then and when I gave the speech, this is what I remember. It's like I wrote it out. I didn't have any instructions or any lessons. They just said, just do your best and just say thank you. And I wrote out this one-page little speech, and I fairly remember that I read it word for word from the paper. So that was the speech. But people got up and gave me a standing ovation and clapping, and it was just really made me wake up and say, oh my gosh, I have something important to say. My introverted, shy little self instantly had something to say, and I was massively rewarded for that. So that turned on the public speaking gene in me, if you want to call it that. The next time I was in public speaking is I took a semester in college and had so much fun. I got an A in the class, and I also realized that I had a natural funny bone. I understood things that I was going to say in my speech and everything, and put maybe a little sarcastic twist on it, and made everybody laugh. So there again, born a public speaker right there. And I didn't do much public speaking after that for a handful of years until I decided that I was going to be a coach. And I took everything that I had learned and brought it together. I even joined Toastmasters thinking that, oh yeah, let me get some practice under my belt. And I went and did all that, which was great. Toastmasters is a great organization. And then I formulated a speech, and I went out and got in front of some people. A friend of mine had a live class that he was speaking on health and wellness. And I said, can I come and speak to your group? And he said, yeah, sure. And he didn't know what I was going to speak about. He just trusted and knew me that I would do well. So I got up in front and I was starting to talk about, I don't remember what the subject was at this point, but I was starting to give my little speech. I think it was 10 or 15 minutes, and I bombed big time. I was confusing people. I didn't have my structure. My clothes was confusing. It just didn't go well. I was mortified and embarrassed because I could see the look of people's faces and their energy and everything, that they didn't want to hear anything more I had to say. And I go, oh my goodness, I need some help. So then I went and took some courses from some professional trainers, and didn't do very well learning from them either. And I'm like, what is going on here? Well, looking back on it, is that these trainers that were teaching me how to be a public speaker, what their background was being a performer. They were a stage performer, they were voice coaches, they were improv instructors, and it was all about being somebody else, putting on a performance and being somebody else. I wasn't tapping into being my true authentic self. And when you're an entrepreneur, explaining what you do and teaching what you do from the stage, your audience wants to see the true authentic self. They don't want to see a performer. And this was a lesson that I deeply learned. And once I started embracing that and teaching and learning from that point and speaking from that point, everything changed. Everything changed. And I created a program especially for entrepreneurs that wanted to make a difference and wanted to grow their business. Now, this is Lloyd Boucher. He wanted to know, he's a financial advisor, and there's a lot of financial advisors out there just floating around, and they're struggling and trying to do what they love doing and helping people with their finances. But he had this question when he came to me. He says, I want to know what can differentiate me from the rest of the crowd. What can make me stand out from all the other financial advisors out there? But he also intuitively knew that he wanted to share his story He says, I wanted to share my story, but I didn't know how. And we worked together to find out, number one, the most important story for him to share, and then also how to share that. It didn't occur to him that his childhood story of immigration would inspire people and endear them to work with him. So the big question is, what's your story? Have you been thinking about what your big why story might be? Well, don't fear, never fear, because if it hasn't come to you yet, we're going to work together and we're going to get that story together so that it works for you and your audience. So let's move on to pillar number 3. A great delivery is not about performing. And I've already touched base on this a little bit, and I want to just move forward with it and dive a little bit deeper into it. We don't want to be performers. We want to be authentically ourselves. I do not know why my slide didn't show up. But authenticity is not something we have or we don't have. It's a practice, a conscious choice of how we want to live. Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. Now, this is written by Brené Brown, and she is a beautiful research and author person, and I follow her. And when I found this quote from her, it almost brought me to tears. It was so beautiful. So I want to introduce to you Jason Christopher. Jason Christopher came to me as a friend, and we were having lunch one day, and we sat and we just talked and talked and talked. And he was in pain. He was in emotional pain. And he was trying to build a business, also a financial advisor. And having a conversation and then working with him for a whole year after this, if you will notice in the picture next to him, he's missing a leg. Well, that happened over 20 years ago in a car accident. And he was still hanging on to the story of what it meant. I won't go deeply into that right now, but I just want to read to you what he sent to me after we worked together. And it was for him to accept the unacceptable and embrace my vulnerability came as a result of Johnny's compassion and her persistence toward the renewing of one's mind. Her love and grace assisted me in the completion of my professional story while strengthening and preparing me for service. That's a huge statement of what he got out of us working together. And his message became really, really clear that inspired people and motivated them and helped them understand who he was, and he was ready to serve them. So what is it that you want? What is it that you want to provide for your audience? Now, this is what I know after studying many, many years of what an audience wants. Yes, I train people on giving a presentation, but I do this through watching how an audience reacts to them. Audiences want to be inspired. They want to be motivated and encouraged. They don't hear enough of this from people. The audiences are out there, and we're up there in the front of the stage just dumping information on them, not really knowing exactly what they want. But in all the research and everything that I've done, this is what it boils down to, these 3 things. Now think about it from your perspective as the presenter. Don't you want to inspire and motivate and encourage people? This is who we are at our hearts, and this is what we can provide for them. Now I'll talk a little bit about Joyce Stewart. She was a student of mine in my last live class here. Now, this is what she sent to me after the course, is that this is actually her first public speaking course. She had never had anything, not even Toastmasters, under her belt that she's ever taken in her life. And she really did not know what she was getting into, which is actually sometimes ignorance is bliss. But she was very thankful that she came, because some of the helpful things that I taught her was able to teach. I was able to teach her and move forward. Now, one thing about Joyce, I want a little background story, is that Joyce got up to deliver her speech, and she was shaking and nervous, and it was a small group. There was only 4 or 5 of us. She was still very, very nervous about sharing her story and her presentation that she brand new, just written. And so I asked her, I said, so what's going on? Can you tell me what's going on? She goes, well, I've always been more comfortable barefoot. And I said, right there and there, I told her, take your shoes off. And once she took her shoes off and she could feel the ground underneath her, she was able to relax and deliver her speech a lot better. Yes, it needed some improvements because it was her first time, but she still, at that point, the emotional baggage that she was carrying just dissipated. And now she's doing really, really well as a speaker in holistic counseling. She's also an author of a book. And I want to introduce you to Lucianne Musa. She is kind of one of my hugest heroes. She came and showed up and was extremely vulnerable and really wanted to learn everything I had to teach because it was going to make a huge difference when she went home and took it to her job. Yes, she was not an entrepreneur when she took my course. She was an employee, but she knew she wanted to be an entrepreneur. So she took this to prepare her for that, but also to support her at her job. You see, after many years of being a trainer in her job, what she was doing is monthly she had to stand up in front of all the coworkers and give a report. And it was physically painful for her in her body. And she tried to get all her other employees to do the report for her, and she was somewhat successful at that. But over time, it prevented her from getting the promotions that she really, really wanted. And so after she took my course, she was able to go back, and she even joined Toastmasters after that and was able to speak easily. What happened is I pulled a story out of her from her background of being a child when her mom told her to be good and quiet and good. So she thought that's how her whole life needed to be. In order to be good, she had to be quiet. And what happened is when she finally got to a point where she had to say something in public, her body would react to it with pain. And this is what she told me after we worked together and she gave her first speech without the pain. Is like she realized her body wasn't going as crazy with those yucky feelings. She physically, the pain in her legs totally dissipated and was almost gone after us just bringing out that story and realizing what it was. So Marianne Williamson is, most of you probably know who she is, but this is her statement that she's famous for is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Is that true? Yeah. Think about it. I want to introduce you to Michelle Wozniak. Now, Michelle, she had a passion since she was a little kid of being a speaker and giving workshops. She is an intuitive self-realization life coach and also an author, I believe. And she wanted desperately to be able to teach people and help them through their limiting beliefs. And this is what she said after she took my course, is that she always had the passion and this vision of doing this. She wanted to be a speaker, but she herself had limiting beliefs and things that were kind of holding her back, especially the nervousness. Then after taking my course, I feel a lot better about being my authentic self because this is something that is very true to my heart. I really feel like I have to be authentic and it's okay to be vulnerable and cry if you need to and flub up and start over. She is just being a human being like all of us are. And even I flub up and have to start over. Lisa Reed. Now, Lisa Reed is a total opposite. She's a seasoned speaker. She's an extrovert. She works for a company and she has her own company. And she came into my course because she wanted to learn some more. She's an open book and always wanting to learn and hone her craft. And by working with, and this is what she says, by working with Johnny Urban, I was able to increase my skills in connecting emotionally with my audience. This skill development has led to an increase in sales consistently when I sell from the stage. Thank you, Johnny. Well, Lisa's story is that she came to me before the course. I always ask people, I says, what is the one thing that you want to learn, you want to get out of this? And she came to me and she goes, I want a deeper connection with my audience. She had a great presentation and it was very engaging and everything, but there was something missing and it was her big why story. And once we got that big why story honed and gotten out there, when she uses it in her presentation, that short little 10-minute story, her sales increase consistently. And it's just made a huge difference in her business and her life. So I have another question for you. What would stop you from doing, What would you stop doing in your business if your signature speech was profitable? Now, sometimes some of us speak because we just want to have fun. We want to practice at Toastmasters, but let's create an asset, a signature speech that's an asset and a cornerstone of your business, that every time you speak, that you are profitable, that you are making money. So what would you stop doing if that were to happen? Now, Deanna Martinez, she is a coach and she's new to the coaching industry, but her niche is rather unique. And I love it because she coaches narcissistic survivors. So she's helping people that have been in bad relationships with a narcissist, of all things. And there's a lot more out there than you think. And she helps them move forward so that they don't repeat the pattern. And this is what she came to me. She came to me and said to me, through Johnny's programs, I learned how to master my fear of public speaking and tackle larger speeches through her exercises and techniques. The reason why the larger speeches is important is because she was in Toastmasters. And when you do Toastmasters, they usually only have you do 5 to 7 minute speeches that do not end in getting business. They're totally different format. So like I said, Toastmasters is great and nothing bad to say about them, but it wasn't helping her grow her business, and it wasn't helping her get in front of people with larger speeches. So another question for you. Another state, you only need one. Did you know this? You only need one signature speech to grow your business. Did you know that? You don't have to keep rewriting and memorizing a brand new speech. One speech is all you need, and you go out to different groups and speak that one speech. Can you imagine your growing business if this were to happen? You're getting new leads. Your ideal clients are showing up. People invite you to speak to their meetings and networking groups, and you are invited to podcasts and interviews. Just imagine that. I want to introduce you to Mivaj. Mivaj blew me away when this happened. She contacted me and she says, I need some help because I'm not getting the business from my speeches. And she's a professional hypnotherapist, highly trained in being a hypnotherapist, and was doing amazing work with people when they signed up with her. But what was happening is she was trying to leverage her time by speaking to groups, and she wasn't getting that many signups. And it was frustrating for her. After working with her a short amount of time and helping her polish up what she needed to have in her speech and take out what wasn't necessary, look at this. Her closing ratio went from 10 to 40%. Right there having the speech. Wow, and that was unbelievable for her and for me. That blew me away too. I'm so proud of her. And then she also says, I never had that kind of success before. My business increased overnight because of one presentation done well. This gave me so much more confidence. And here's Deanna again. Again, I want to repeat, she was new to the coaching business. She still is. She's about a year out from being a certified coach. She was struggling to get clients. She had a deep desire to make a difference, which frustrated her because she wasn't doing it. And now I love this. Shortly after we began working together, I think it was within the first couple months, so jazzed. She sent this to me on Facebook, is that she got her very first client. And she says, I waited so long for this moment. She was so lost and had no idea. She's grown in a coach as a person. So she learned, and then she lists here what she learned. So I'm so proud of her that basically, and we're still working together to this day because she still has some ways to go. But she understands that. She understands it's a process. But now she's getting clients consistently, and she's so happy. And the frustration that she felt is pretty much gone because she knows all she needs to do is consistently show up with her message in front of people, and she will always be able to get clients. She has created an asset for her business. So the question is, would you like me to teach you how to create and deliver your profitable signature speech? So I'm going to recap a little bit here while you're thinking about that. Is it why you're here? You want something brilliantly different for your business that is uniquely you and is designed to attract ideal clients that are a joy to work with. You're motivated to leave behind the one-to-one marketing work that's exhausting and leverage your time by speaking one-to-many so that you can spend more time doing the things you love with the people you love most. You're here because you're intrigued by the idea that you can simplify your business by creating a single signature speech and presenting it over and over again while saying no to the projects that no longer light you up. You're excited about creating a signature presentation that you can earn 5, 6, or even 7 figures per year while impacting the lives of thousands. How cool would that be? Now you have 2 options, and you'll even see a third option on your worksheet if you're looking at that. Option 1 is you keep piecing together your business building speech, and maybe in a few years you'll have a growing business. Option 2 is that you 100% commit to creating and delivering your profitable signature speech this year using a proven system. And if you see on your worksheet, I threw in option 3 is to do nothing. I don't think that that's why you're here. So I'm here to invite you to Sensitive Authentic Speaker Academy. If you're ready to create your signature speech magic, I'd like to invite you to join me inside the Academy. The Sensitive Authentic Speaker Academy is the only implementation program of its kind that not only shows you exactly how to create and deliver your profitable signature speech like a pro, and how to get your services into the hands of dozens or hundreds of customers each month. And by the end of the program, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have nailed down your intention-getting speech title. It's important to have that title attention, get the attention of people. It is the only and first thing they're going to see before they hear you speak. So that's important that you have that. It's important that you have validated your speech idea to make sure your audience is willing and excited to hear it. There was a time when I didn't do that in the very beginning. I wanted to speak about what I wanted to speak to, and I didn't even think that maybe the audience didn't want to hear it. And I bombed big time. So this is why I'm going to teach you how to validate your speech idea. You will have outlined your speech content. Every time you start a project, remember back in school, you started with an outline. So we're going to start with having a really amazing, strong outline for your content. You're going to have developed a high converting speech and an irresistible offer. You're also going to have an expertly delivered your speech to a live audience. Now, the first live audience that you're going to be most likely doing it in front of is in our small group, our coaching sessions. As soon as you write something up, you're going to be able to deliver it and see how it lands on other people's ears, not just mine, so that I can help coach you through it, but also your fellow audience that knows and loves you and supports you and is going to give you beautiful feedback. And then you're going to start venturing out into other live audiences. You're going to have embraced your true authentic personality so that your audience will know, like, and trust the real you. You're going to have leveraged a mix of speaking styles designed to keep your audience engaged. Also, you're going to get continued email access to yours truly, me, to help support you and answer questions along the way. And that alone is worth $1,400, almost $1,500 to have that. The total value for this entire course is $2,597. They're going to include 6 modules. And here, this is what's inside the Academy. Excuse me, a brief glance of what's inside the Academy. Now, Module 1, we're going to go into your unique magic elevator speech. And it's like, and why that is important is that is the one speech you're going to be saying more often to more people. Every time you go somewhere and people are going to ask you, hey, what do you do? So you have to have this magic elevator speech that gets attention. Excuse me, I get a drink of water. Thank you. There are also different ways that you can switch it up. I have 3 or 4 different methods of teaching you how you can switch it up depending on who you're speaking to, so that you're not always consistently saying this canned elevator speech that is falling on deaf ears because it just sounds too practiced and too canned. You got to keep it alive. Module 2 is that the art of developing your speech roadmap. Now, this is the roadmap that's going to get you from point A to point B. When you follow a roadmap, don't you get somewhere a little bit more pleasantly? So that's what Module 2 is all about. Module 2 is developing your unique and powerful big why story. Remember, we talked a lot about that. That was the pillars, one of the pillars that I taught about in this webinar. And you can see how important it is to have that. Module 4 is utilizing learning styles of your audience into your speech. Now, remember I mentioned a while back that 65%, this is research showing that 65% of your audience is going to be visual. 30% are auditory, it's what they hear. And then there's a small percentage of 5% of people that are kinesthetic, and kinesthetic means movement or being able to feel deeply. Can you imagine if you only spoke in the learning style that you happen to live in most often? You would only attract that percentage of your audience depending on how you presented it from learning styles. So what if you incorporated all 3 throughout your entire speech? Then you'd be able to get the entire audience, pretty much all of them. And Module 5 is design your magical speak components. Now, every speech has these components. There's 3 major sections in a speech, but there's all these little mini components that go in there too. What stories are you going to tell? Your big why story has to be in there, but what other stories are you going to tell? There's success stories, there's humorous stories, there's all kinds of things. Not to mention the activities that you can incorporate in a speech that actually wake an audience up and actually give them a beautiful experience. And then, of course, Module 6 is what the end result is of why we speak, is to how to close your speech with increased sales and getting leads, and how to go about doing that in a couple different ways so that you can feel really comfortable about sales from the stage. And then, of course, there's a bonus that I had to throw in because I love you so much. And that's the art of presenting and practicing in our weekly live group sessions and having the hot seat opportunity. And then I don't want you to be worried about that word hot seat. What it means is that if you raise your hand and you want some really deep dive help, you're going to be the center of attention for our small group, 6 to 8 people, no more than that. And we're going to help hone what you're presenting so that you can feel really good about that with loving, gentle, beautiful feedback. Now that total again is $2,597. So I'm going to repeat this again. This is your complete essay, Sensitive Authentic Speaker Academy training program. I call it SASA for short. Kind of sassy, huh? And that value, $2,597. You get 6 training modules from speech creation asset to delivering it. You get 6 months of weekly small group class. You get the training, the templates, and the checklist. And your bonus number 1, I've got 3 bonuses for you. The first one is the first thing you get is a deep dive call, 1-to-1 with yours truly, me, a value of $497. So before you start the program, we're going to get on a live call or Zoom, and we're going to be chatting about what it is that you mostly want. I really want to make sure that you succeed. Now, you need to know something. It's like, I am not special. I just need to share this with you. I don't have a background in communications or entertainment. I have over 10 years experience speaking for my coaching business. And I have a proven framework that I've created and followed for over 10 years now, and it works. If I can do it, so can you. So here's bonus number 2. Bonus number 1, bonus number 2, and the complete training program. Private members only Facebook group and community for accountability and support. And that's a value of $297. This is where Facebook is so easy to use. And we can all go there and we can communicate with each other and support each other. Now, I have a risk-free guarantee. I need you to know that you are going to succeed. And if you do the work, show me your results within 30 days of enrolling, and you're not satisfied, I'll gladly give you a refund. Now, I do not offer a money-back guarantee, but I'm only looking for serious action takers. So you need to show that you've gave the program a try before requesting a refund. I do this because I'm not looking for tire kickers, but true go-getters that want to dive in and get results quickly. If you do the work and you're still not satisfied, show me your work within 30 days of enrolling and I'll gladly give you a refund. Does that sound fair? Okay, now let's go over this again. Going to get down to bonus number 3. You're going to get the complete training program, bonus 1, deep dive call, bonus 2, private members only Facebook group, and now bonus number 3, weekly live small group training and coaching sessions, a value of $1,197. The weekly live grouping calls is what's going to help keep moving you forward. We all need support in everything that we're learning when we're learning something new. And this is where you're going to get the most successful support ever. Now, all of that, you have a total value of $4,588. So right about now, you're thinking, I bet you're thinking, it's like, all right, Connie, give us the price. And you're likely thinking that I'm going to charge thousands of dollars for this program. And the truth is, I probably should. It's that good. And the results you can create for yourself are big. So when I told my peers in the industry about my new course, hands down, they all said I should charge at least $2,000. However, I know my community well, and I know that although you are incredibly serious about creating and delivering a signature presentation, that price point would be tough for you. So I cut it in half. It's only $997. I want this program to be affordable to you. I want you to be able to enroll today. Jump in and get started creating your profitable speech. That's why I decided to price it much less than I likely should. Now here's something else that I have for you, payments. If you cannot jump in and pay the $997 up front, you can make 6 payments of $167. And this is where you go to enroll today. This is bit.ly/Sasa Now. And when you go there, it'll take you to a page and you'll be able to enroll and apply for the program. Now, if you're still here, I mentioned a special bonus at the beginning of this masterclass to eliminate speech filler words and audio download. Now, to get your hands on this bonus, all you need to do is enroll while you're still here live. We'll be moving into our Q&A session in a moment, so if you enroll in the course before we end here, you will immediately get access to the bonus when you enroll. So again, 6 payments of $167 or 1 payment of $997. And to enroll, you need to go to bit.ly/Sasa Now. I have that posted in the chat box. You can see it there at the top of the box. You can copy it or you can click straight onto it and go there now. And this is where it's going to take you. It's going to take you to the enrollment page. It's going to give you a little bit more details about what the program entails. And at the bottom of that page is a little button that says Apply Now. Now, I don't want you to confuse this. Most webinars will have you click to Buy Now. And what I do is a little bit differently. I believe in what's called high touch. I want to be able to have a conversation with you. I want to make sure that this program, that I've designed a program that is perfect for you, and that I want to know exactly where you're at. So when you go to Apply Now, you're going to go to a page where you're going to fill out some details, answer a few questions about your business, and then you're also going to be able to book a call with me so that we can have a conversation in the next few days. You're going to get instant confirmation about the call and about your appointment. Please, when you go to your email, if you don't see the confirmation right there in your email, check your junk or your spam, because we all know how those systems work to keep us away from the things that we want to do. Now, I don't want you to wait. I don't want you to think about this too much, because I have a special limited bonus only. For the first 6 students that enroll in this program, you're going to get a monthly one-to-one private coaching call with yours truly, with me. This call is designed to keep moving you forward with any problems or any challenges that might be cropping up. It could be just you need simple encouragement that you're doing the right thing. It could be anywhere from a 10-minute call up to 45 minutes. But I want you to know that I am here for you, and I have your back, and I want to make sure that you succeed. So jump right on. Only the first six students can jump onto this, and one position is already filled, so there's only 5 more spots open. So this is what you get. I want to show you a little bit about what you get. This is your dashboard to your membership site. And when you go to this dashboard, you will see this. You will see a video that I want you to watch. It's a welcome video, and it just kind of gives you some guidance on what to do next. Then you're going to get a confirmation page that says thank you for registering for the village. That's why I call it the village. One thing I want you to notice is that see the little blue words down there? Registration requires admin approval. So you've registered, you're ready to rock and roll, but before you can log in to get to your dashboard, me and my IT people will go in and make sure that it is you requesting that. We don't want to somebody to sneak in that hasn't paid for it and applied for it and gone through the little hoops that I've created to get in there. That wouldn't be fair to anybody. Again, check your email, because you're going to get your membership information. Your username is going to be your email, and there will be a unique password there for you. And then the login URL. You want to be able to save that information for future use. And then keep looking for your email, because if not immediately, in the first 24 hours, you will get an email from the admin saying that you are approved, and then you can register. And then you want to go here to this URL and log into the course. This is your login page where you use your email and your type in your password, and that will take you back to the dashboard where you can begin watching your welcome email and get started. This is where your welcome email is going to be. Again, here we go again, just to reiterate, 6 payments of $167 or 1 payment of $997. And there's the URL again that you can go to. If you type that into your URL directly, make sure you spell it exactly as you see it. bit.ly/SASANOW. Also, again, it's in your chat box. Now, you might have some questions at this point, so go ahead and type them in the chat box if you have any questions, but you might be thinking, while I'm waiting for that all of this is making me anxious, a little nervous, a little anxious. Well, I'm glad it does, because what that means is that you're about to learn something new. I'm overwhelmed. There just isn't enough time. What if you'd known about this a year ago? Can you imagine just how much further along you could be right now if you had known this a year ago? And as you take the steps moving forward, one by one, I want you to know that I've got your back. One of the gifts that I have about me is that I know how to break things down into doable steps. I've always been a teacher from preschool kids all the way up through high school, and even taught in cosmetology school for a short stint of time. I know how to break down complicated things and information to make it easy. So you don't have to worry about that. I've got your back. You may be asking, I don't know where to start. I feel like I may be overcomplicating things. Well, yes, you probably are at this point. And that's okay, because this is a lot of information. This was an hour-long webinar where I threw a lot of things at you. And it can be complicated if you allow it to be. But don't worry. In your modules, you're going to get 1 module a week. You're going to do 1 assignment, and you're going to do it well and before we move on. So trust me, I've got your back, and I know what it's going to take. So here again is the Academy information and the bit.ly that you can go to, bit.ly/SASA now. And then while we're here, I'm going to be answering some Q&A questions that are popping up. Now, Deanna has asked, how do I know this will work for my business? How do we talk? Okay, that's the first question. You got a couple questions. So how do I know this will work for my business? This is what you need to know. You've seen some of the people that I've worked with. Most of them were entrepreneurs. Only one was an employee. And here's what I can tell you is that the program that I have created is the same program I've been using from day one. It's polished and cleaned up and easy and concise. But it is still the same program, and it'll get you from point A to point B that you can use where you need to speak at any situation at any time. It is specifically designed for entrepreneurs to grow their business. However, it can be used for any circumstances, even if you're an employee. And then another question Deanna has is, how do we talk with you throughout the course? Well, if you remember how part of the components of the course is that, and if you're one of the first 6 people to sign up, that you will get a monthly call from me in addition to our weekly classes that we have. And they're small group classes, so you're going to get lots of one-on-one attention with the 6 to 8 people at the most. And we'll be going over everything, and the classes will run anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes, depending on how many people are there and how detailed the class needs to be. And you have constant email access to me, and you can also get hold of me on the Facebook group, in our group community. And then she also asks, I'm still not sure this is great for me. So if you're still sitting on the fence about whether this might be for you, that's what our call is for. That's what it's designed to be for. So when you go in and click on the button, go and apply here, click on the button and schedule a call with me. It's a discovery call. Find out exactly if this is right for you, because the last thing I want is for someone to join into the program and decide, that this isn't exactly what I thought it would be. So we're just going to get really, really clear whether this is right for you or not. And let's see, James has a question. So, are you going to teach where to get speaking gigs? I get that question a lot, and the answer is yes to that. Everybody has a specific audience based on specifically what their niche is, what their marketing niche is. And if you don't have a niche, I'm going to help guide you to that also. So whatever your ideal clients are, I'm going to guide you to go out and speak to so that the majority of the people you're speaking to will probably be in your niche market. And that is not as difficult as you think it is once you know what the system is and how to do that. So don't worry about that. We're going to get you in front of the right people so that you're not wasting your time and spinning your wheels in front of the wrong people. You have to understand that the goal is to help you get some clients, some leads and clients. And so it's important to get you in front of the perfect people as soon as possible. So Michael on the line here asks, I don't like to speak in front of people. How will this work for me? Well, you're in the right place, Michael, because as I said before, is that I am an introvert too, and I can be quite shy. I tend to be an observer more than a speaker. But you need to know that I can do this, you can do this too. It's a matter of we all have things inside of us that we know are trying to get it out and speak to people. We all are here because we want to help other people have better lives on the planet. And this program is for you. So you need to know that. The chat box is kind of quieted down a little bit right now. And at this point, we're probably coming close to an end. If you have any further questions but don't know what they might be yet, that's fine. And that is what the application call is for. So you can easily, even if you're still sitting on the fence and not sure you want to sign up or not, just go and schedule a call so that we can meet and have fun and find out exactly if this is for you. It's not designed to be a sales call. It's designed to be a clarification call for both you and for me. And at this point, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for showing up. I look forward to meeting everyone on the call. And I appreciate you being here. And I hope you have a really great weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.